That they did.
Pre or post in high school?
It's definitely pre. Yes, this was before, just before forensic science. Okay, so we're going to pick up where we left off. I'm just going to finish the last little bit on snRNA, SNO RNA, the SNRPs and SNORPs, and then pick up with PeeWee, what PeeWee is. Okay, and so the SN stands for small nuclear, and the SNO is for small nucleolar. What is the nucleolus?
That's where the rRNA are transcribed.
Well, I mean, where is it located?
Center of the nucleus.
So it's inside the nucleus. How is it denoted? Like, how is it separate from the nucleus? Does it have its own membrane?
No.
No, it is not. And so there have been some that even argue that it doesn't even really exist on its own. But it is just a densely populated portion of the nucleus. But it's not separate, have its own separate membrane, like, mitochondria do, or lysosomes, or some of the other organelles. Okay, but it does have, there are small RNAs that are transcribed there. And they also can form these ribonuclear protein complexes. Those are the RNP portions. And so if it's small nuclear, it's called a SNRP. If it's small nucleolar, it's a SNORP. And these are very, very tiny RNAs, but they're involved in the maturation. So far, they know that they're involved in the maturation process of mRNA. Because mRNA, much like tRNA and rRNA and the microRNAs, it's actually usually made as a precursor. So it's got a lot of extra stuff on it, like the poly A tail and things like that. And so the SNRPs and SNORPs are involved in a couple of things. One is the maturation of mRNA, and another has to do with the location. Okay, and so what is important about the location? Where is the mRNA made? It's in the nucleus. Where is it used?
The cytosol.
At the cytosol, in particular, where at the cytosol? Right, the roughly are the ribosomes in order for it to be used for translation. So it has to not only be modified, but it has to be taxied or shuttled there. Okay? And so a lot of these actually help with that. Just wanted to go over the fact that, once again, the DNA, of course, is in the nucleus, with the exception being mitochondria. There's some small amounts of mitochondrial DNA, but we're only talking about nuclear DNA. The DNA is in the nucleus where the mRNA is going to be transcribed, but the proteins are made in the cytosol, and so it's the way to get there from there to where they're needed to be. Okay? All right, and so I usually try to end with picking at least one biomedical aspect. And here, there is at least one fairly common genetic disease that is associated with SNRPs, and it's spinal muscular atrophy. 1 in 50 people are carriers. So 2% of the US population actually carries this gene, but it's recessive. And what it is it's actually technically a group of diseases that are involved in this SMN gene, which is the survivor motor neuron gene. And there's a lot of research being done on the way that the SNRPs are modified, or I should say modify the gene. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay. And so the Cajal bodies themselves are small portions within the nucleus. And so the way that this is shown is that we're here, this would be the cytosol, and then we have the nuclear, and the nuclear membrane, and then the nucleolus. But the snRNAs themselves get transcribed. They also are shuttled out and have to be exported out in order to get with the proteins to form the SNRPs. Then they get imported back in, and these are involved then with the maturation of some of the other RNAs, including this SMN gene that has to be, its mRNA has to be modified in order to have the correct functionality. And I used to have a link on that to show some of the the phenotypes that's associated with it, and at least the last time that I checked, they don't know how it causes the spinal muscular atrophy, I should say, not muscular dystrophy, but it causes a degradation of the neural system, and so eventually, if I remember correctly, they don't live to live a full life because you can become completely debilitated, and so it has very many. If it's what I'm thinking of, it has very many similarities to muscular dystrophy. Oops, wrong one. Well, it's not gonna. There we go. But I wanted to move on to Pee-wee, just because it's fun. All right.